Um, yeah, and after I do that, my hope was that we could break out into committees. Um, Looking at just kind of the numbers and even the folk that are here today, maybe we'll just stick together as a large group for today, and really try to delve into the committee breakouts for the next time we meet. So with that, like I said, let's just kind of take some time to do some brief introductions. Think everybody here knows who I am, but just to reintroduce myself very quickly, I'm Damian Howard, y'all. I am the Director of Education Initiatives for Together Chicago. Together Chicago is a violence reduction agency, and I am blessed with the opportunity to oversee the education sector of that violence reduction agency. So um, my work kind of breaks into two main categories. That's what I'm going to share momentarily. So that's my intro. Let me bounce it over to Robin.
Hi, everybody. I'm Robin Kelsch. I'm the Chief Partnership Engagement Officer at Communities and Schools of Chicago. We are an organization that works with schools and community organizations to help make connections, remove barriers, and support school communities. I'm excited to be here. We'll learn about, I've been working with this group and Love Your School and Together Chicago, working on the violence prevention school-based conflict resolution subcommittee that I'm sure we'll talk about soon. But nice to see all of you and be here. Thanks, Damien, for hosting us. I can just pass it off to Angela.
Yes, good morning. My name is Angela Jordan, and I am a member of Cosmopolitan Community Church. We're located on 52nd and Wabash, directly across the street from Beasley Academic Center, where we are in partnership with Beasley. We have a very close relationship with them, the principal, and some of the other leaders and teachers in the school. And we've been partners with them for about maybe, I want to say 4 years now, and it's been going very well. Thank you.
So Jeffrey is driving. I don't know if he can unmute, but he did give us an introduction um concerning himself in the chat. If you can unmute Jeff, do so. Otherwise, we'll move on.
Yeah, I'm here, guys. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. Shelby, New Life Covenant Church Southeast. Um, I'm the director of our family division here, and of course, always excited to be here. I gave it in the chat, but just a shout out between our last meeting and this one, we participated with Longwood High School's Parent Source Fair, and I applaud just the work that we do in just encouraging our schools because the turnout wasn't the best. And of course, the administration that was there kind of got discouraged, but we were able to just continue to map out plans to keep going and keep doing what we're doing because, smoke turns into fire. So that's my spiel. Great Tuesday, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that
I don't know
update.
who to pass it off.
Kimberly?
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I had the Zoom link copied on my calendar for these meetings and it just was not letting me in. So I had to kind of go back around to the new one that was sent out. I'm Kimberly Harshman, and I lead the Love Your School Prayer Corners initiatives, as well as the Love Your School Summer Prayer Challenge that's going on right now. We had a really good year. Throughout the school year, from the first day of school until Memorial Weekend, we have those Love Your School prayer corners with prayer champions that are signing up to pray on a corner near their school for 15 to 30 minutes. We had a consistently around 16 or 17 Love Your School prayer corners this first school year. And then we had, for Hands Across Chicago, we had over 25 Love Your School prayer corners that took place over Memorial Weekend for Hands Across Chicago. And then on Memorial Weekend, we launched the Love Your School Summer Prayer Challenge, where people are signing up. They're submitting their zip code, and they're getting 10 schools within that zip code to prayer walk around throughout the summer. So it's good to be with you all this morning, and I'm on the church mobilization committee, so looking forward to seeing how these things come together.
Thank you, Kimberly. Jennifer, just introductions right now.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jennifer Gutierrez. I'm the brand ambassador for Big Brothers Big Sisters. It is great to see some familiar faces and some new faces.
Perfect. Thank you, Jennifer. Camille, we're just brief introductions.
Hi, good morning. My name is Camille Doss, and I serve with TC Education Team. Good to see everyone.
Perfect. All right. Armani, what's up?
Hello, good morning. I'm Armani Price. I work with Damien with the Love Your School. I am the Education Outreach Manager at Together Chicago.
Perfect. Y'all, what I am trying to do, you know what? I won't even do that. I was going to just kind of send out the updated link real quick because it seems like that was a barrier for some people. But we'll keep it going and we'll follow up as needed afterwards. So what I wanted to do, y'all, is just to really take an opportunity and a moment to go back through what this space is, and who we are. So with that, bear with me as I share my screen. Now, again, as it pertains to Together Chicago, I am the guy who oversees education, but actually, as that continues to grow, it should be education and youth initiatives. So if somebody's kind of asking Damien, like, what is this? What do you do? You know, what do we do even? So we help churches and community-based organizations partner with their local schools through this collective. What is the name of the collective? The Love Your School Collective, LYS Collective. And we ultimately do that work because we believe that this whole dynamic of offering wraparound services, or as you all see here, holistic support, is important for the development of Chicago youth. Now, what I'm excited about moving forward is now when we talk to people about how we go about, you know, supporting churches and community-based organizations through this collective, is two ways, y'all. We have these committees that we're going to learn of and start to lean into starting today. And then secondly, we have school impact programs that either Together Chicago is leading and inviting community in to partner with us for the implementation of these programs, and or y'all, right, have, like, for instance, Angela, she just spoke of their partnership with a school that's right across the street. Jeff Shelby, he just said that he was at CICS Longwood, who's a partner of this collective as well. He was doing some work with them over there, right? When we learn of our partners who are a part of this collective serving those schools, then our question is, how might we support you? And or how might we introduce you to other organizations that are part of this, like CIS, that can give you ongoing support? So again, the Love Your School Collective exists so we can support the holistic development of Chicago youth. If people ask, how do we go about doing that? We do it through these Love Your School committees, and we do it through impact programming. So again, I just want to clarify, this is school and youth. The reason why I keep putting and youth is because, for instance, Kimberly, who's here, she has an initiative that is supporting justice-involved youth. They might not necessarily all be in schools per se, but as she's kind of referring them to our Brilliance and Excellence partners, saying that, you know, she wants mentors, we still want to be able to support those young people. The Love Your School Collective supports the holistic development of Chicago youth through committees and committees and impact programming. Holistic development of young people through committees and impact programs. Now, why do I keep repeating that? Because I personally have a very sincere excitement that we moving forward have that absolute clarity. Because even oftentimes, as you all are talking to your folks about the value of this or what it is we do, how we do what we do, there, you know, is this consistent need for us to be more and more clear. And what I'm telling you all is the journey that we're on this summer And even what I just showed you all is already giving us heightened clarity for what this is all about. I want to pause there to see if there's any comments or questions based on what I shared thus far. Otherwise, we'll move on into some committee conversation.
Dave, is that something you could share out with folks? It just is like so nicely put together. I was trying to write it all down, but is that shareable with this group?
I got to think about that one because
I didn't mean to cause a rift in your plans here.
no,
If
no,
not, that's fine. I mean, I got the gist, but I just think it's helpful as you're sort of making us ambassadors to this,
yeah,
that we're speaking from the same songbook.
I don't know if I like y'all like that yet. And that's the reason why I said I got to think about it. I'm just playing. It's in the chat. And to Robin's point, um, as y'all kind of see me processing through right now, there's a part of me that's like, the link issues, it's kind of getting on me a little bit. So I'm saying all that to say I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of follow-up, Robin. And part of that follow-up is making sure that people have access to this TC education overview document as well. But like I said, y'all, it's there in the link. Thank you, Robin, for cueing me in that way. All right. I'll start, y'all, just by talking a little bit about these school impact programs, just so y'all can kind of know from the TC standpoint what it is that we're leading in schools and how we're inviting this whole community in to be a part of that work with us. So I'll give some examples as I'm talking about it. So for like violence prevention type of work that's school-based or youth-based, we have one project at a high school that we're running for youth who were gang involved in a lot of fights. And I had a conversation with Jennifer, who's here, and her team yesterday as it pertains to how Big Brothers Big Sisters can potentially help us to make sure that we're serving community-based mentors well who are partnering with these kids. So that's one program that we're doing, and that's an example of, again, how the collective is kind of coming together for the implementation of that program. We do a lot of out-of-school time programs. Together Chicago does not run those programs. They do that in partnership with community partners that are a part of Love Your School. For our social emotional learning training that we do, most of that is just kind of one-off opportunities for me to go in schools and do professional developments. And again, as much as I can, I'm inviting y'all in and be a part of that work with me. A lot of you all here have been a part of school-based villages of support meetings that I have with 5 different sites. And again, as much as you all are willing and have the capacity, anytime when we're getting clear on the top 3 needs of, strategic partner schools, we want y'all to be a part of that village. So again, I'm just trying to give you all examples of impact programs that TC leads that we invite y'all in to help us to run. Our churches and other orgs, y'all are leading your own impact programs. And one of the ways that we support those programs, obviously, is through this meeting that we have right here and moving forward the committees. But in addition to that, as I'm getting more and more understanding that there are other organizations that are better positioned with greater capacity to serve people like Jeff Shelby. So Jeff Shelby, who's a rock star serving not only schools within his community, but now thinking of how to serve parent communities and other communities, etc. Robin, I just think that at least a conversation with somebody like a Jeff Shelby, who's already in schools, about how could CIS be a value add, right, to the work that he's doing, especially if he's in CIS schools, would be a brilliant connection. So once more, y'all, I'm talking about impact programs that Together Chicago is involved in, but trying to really thrust us in the direction of greater synergistic collaboration as a collective. And then lastly, as far as impact programs, I'll just share with y'all, Together Chicago is working on a grant where we're going to be doing more in the area of like discipleship, leadership development, apprenticeship. And that just needs to be built out. So I'm not even going to talk about that. Y'all, now we are in conversation about these committees. First of all, I saw Reverend Hill. You joined this space, Reverend Hill. If you don't mind, please, sir, unmute your mic and just say what's up to people. We're just doing brief introductions. Reverend Hill is like, I ain't got no time to give y'all no introduction. Reverend Hill, if he's still here. All
There
right.
we go. I was trying to get my mic unmuted.
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Hill. I'm with the Interfaith Recovery Outreach Ministry. And at this time, we're partnering with the Illinois school, which is in Park Forest. That's kind of where we're at now. Of course, the school season is getting ready to go out, but we're continuing working with them.
So 2 questions.
Yes.
Reverend Hill, have you worked with my colleague Armani at all with that work?
No.
Okay. And then my second question is for you, Robin, is CIS is just CPS schools, right?
Yeah, just CPS. Charter schools, but just CPS.
Perfect. All right, Reverend Hill, we'll have more conversation, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
Kimberly, so again, y'all, we're about to get into conversations concerning committees. Notice where we are as far as time. We spent about 20 minutes in this monthly call, just giving an overview, doing introductions. Even in the introductions, y'all had an opportunity to update us on, the things that you're connected to, the things that you're excited about. I loved hearing those updates. I keep calling his name, but I love hearing, Jeff even tell us he connected to CICS Longwood. Y'all know through Jose Santiago. CICS Longwood is a partner of ours. And what I'm committed to doing is condensing that initial part to just a succinct 15-20 minutes like we did today, so we can really get into this committee work. Let me talk about structure and organization, you all. Moving forward, a suggestion was made that we'll use this space primarily to break into committees. We're not going to break into committees today just because we don't have the critical mass to do that. We're going to talk about what the committees are. Moving forward, the aspiration, the hope is that the leaders of the committees will show up, encourage your people to show up so that we can actually do committee breakouts. Let me also be very clear that in many instances, this will not be the only place and the only time that committee members are meeting. I will really defer to the leaders of said committees to identify, additional times and opportunities where they're thinking that they want to get their people together. We're going to get into conversation about these committees. We're going to hopefully share enough about these committees that everybody here is going to leave like, okay, I know where my spot is. I know where I'm going to park myself. I know how I'm going to get value from being a part of this committee. Before we do that, based on what I've shared already, I just want to open up the floor to see if there's any comments or questions before we discuss committees. All right, so
Damien, I'm sorry, Damien, this is Angela. I have a quick question.
Yeah, no problem.
So let's say, I'll use me for example. I signed up to be on the church mobilization committee, but there's another committee, let's say the events committee. They're hosting a particular event that I'd like to assist with or be a part of. Is that possible? If I could contact that committee leader to help out with that particular event, or how does that work? Can we cross over?
Yeah, it's possible, but let me tell you, Angela, how I prefer it to happen.
Okay.
As you heard me allude to a moment ago, there's 2 people on this call, 2 organizations on this call right now that I had intentional one-on-one conversations with. And Angela, let me tell you what I asked both of them. I said for both of those organizations, I need y'all to have a representative that's a part of the events committee. Now, let me tell you why I asked that of them. I asked that of those organizations because my assumption is when they look at the other committees, they'll probably be like, "Ooh, I rock with that." You know what I'm saying? A little bit more than events. So I think to be a little bit more forthright with you, my heart is that knowing you and one of your colleagues, Linda, have both been a part of this space, I want both of y'all to be showing up on a monthly basis. Linda come to one, you come to another.
Okay, that's good because
Now, what I'll say is, and I'm spending a little bit more time with this part than I hope to spend in the future. And maybe we are going to spend some more time because people need to know what's going on in the other committees, is that we're also going to be using these monthly meetings to give an overview of what's going on in committee. So like everything that I'm saying right now, in the future, these would be the leaders of committees sharing, hey, this is what's going on. This is the agenda. This is what we're going to talk about a little bit when we break into committees. And then boom, we'll go into the committee space so people can be informed. So with that, yes, you'll have an opportunity to be like, yeah, I want to reach out to Robin later on, even though I can't be a part of her committee, even though I can't meet with her, to just talk a little bit more about things. But I guess what I'm asking is, if your interest is peaked in multiple spaces, the challenge I have for folks here is that you all will start to identify other people within your organizations that can be a part of those committees. And I'm being keenly like pushy, if you will, with the events committee, because that's a committee that I really need help building out so that the weight of these events isn't falling on just one or two people.
Gotcha. Great, 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 great. Thank you.
Thank you for asking that question. Any other comments or questions, folks? All right. So what I want to do.
Let me cut you just for a second.
Yep.
I was talking with Linda Ford, which is my sister, and we wanted to be on the church committee. She wanted me to make sure that he was on it. She's not able to make this meeting. So I just wanted to put that out there, and whoever's in charge of it, I want to get in contact with.
Perfect. Perfect. Anyone else?
That's all.
All right. So I just want to be very clear, and I want you all to be very clear that today it's really our first time delving into like very specific committee conversations. I've been giving a lot of overviews, but we're taking that to the next step today. In future months, namely starting July and beyond, my hope is that, look, around like 9:20-ish or so, we're actually breaking into committees and we're starting those conversations. So you all will be able to self-select what committees you want to go into every month when we have the breakouts. All right. So what I want to do is start with the church mobilization committee. Kimberly is not leading that committee, but she is here, as well as Camille. So I would invite both of you all that if you all want to talk about what's going on with the church mobilization committee, you have the floor to do that. Otherwise, I can share out there as well. So either Kimberly or Camille, if you all want to share out, you can take it, or I will.
You know, it's so new, and I've been on one or two of the meetings. So I think as far as putting the vision out there for it, I would love for either you or Camille to do that, Damien.
Perfect.
All I can say is our goal is 100 churches adopting 100 schools, and us getting together on a committee to be more purposeful in that. So if there's more that you would want to add, probably than that.
Yeah, so Kimberly, actually, y'all just really hit it on the head. That is an aspiration that we have. So I'm telling y'all, going into 2025, I'm not playing, and I say this with the utmost respect. I'm not playing with none of y'all. I don't want none of y'all to play with me when it comes to us for real doing this work. And I don't even know if the young people say this anymore, but being about that life. So what I mean by that is, if we're going to say 100 schools adopting 100 churches, for me, that's not just putting it on a partnership tracker for us to say we have numbers. That's us. And like I said, largely, I hope to partner with other orgs like CIS that I think are well positioned to help serve our churches that are serving CIS schools. Like getting clear on, like for instance, y'all know I love Jeff Shelby, right? But going into, let me see if Jeff is still here while I'm talking about him. Jeff jumped off. All right. I love that man. Now, man, I'm talking about Jeff. I'm gonna talk about Angela because I love her even more since Jeff ain't here no more.
Uh-oh, be careful, be careful.
So going into the 25 school year, I want to know from Angela's perspective, what does a win look like as it pertains to you connecting to your school? And I don't know if it's ego or what, but in the past, I felt like Together Chicago has to lead that conversation of, getting clarity on, or helping the church get clarity on what a win looks like, what are your events and your service like? But no, like TC, like if CIS has greater capacity and desires to be a part of that conversation, I want to just connect y'all to Robin and y'all had that conversation. I want to know, like, how are we assessing, the value of what we're doing? Like, y'all know I got this SEL assessment that we send out that I would prefer many people to do, but I know that CIS has its own assessment. Some of y'all, some of y'all have Armani.
Yes.
If you can find Reverend Crystal Kyles' number, and send her the registration link for this, I think she's trying to get on with us.
Okay.
It should be on a partnership tracker. Thank you.
All right.
Camille, if you got that handy too, you can send that over. So I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah, just
Wait, say her name again, Damien.
Crystal Kyles, Reverend Kyles.
Okay.
Promise Church, Hope Excel, Outreach.
Okay.
All right. My brain is such where I kind of forgot what I was saying. So let's talk a little bit more about church.
You're talking about value, the value.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
we assess the value of what we're doing.
Value and clarity. I think, yes, value, but also clarity. Like, really, what are we doing? How is it making impact this summer for any and everybody that's on that partnership tracker? That is my desire for us to know that together. And I guess what I'm also trying to articulate is Together Chicago might not be the one that's leading that moving forward, because we might not, frankly, be best positioned or have the capacity to be the people who should be leading that conversation moving forward. Now, to Kimberly's point, when she said 100 schools, 100 churches, one of the first things that the church mobilization committee is doing is, we're saying, okay, if we had a map, where are churches and schools aligned on a particular map? And when we look at that map and we see that, we have pockets where there is no church and school engagement, then we want to be strategic to just really kind of look at our network and ask ourselves, who do we know that might be able to serve this school within our community? So that's really, like Kimberly said, that committee is brand new. We've only had 2, maybe 2.5 meetings, and that's what we've discussed thus far. Being a lot more intentional about mapping so that we can understand where the churches are and where the gaps are. Being super intentional as it pertains to our goal of 100 churches, 100 schools. And then Damien comes in with a heartbeat that's not just for this committee, but for all, and saying we want to be extremely clear with all of our church and school partnerships as far as what does service look like? What does a win look like? How are y'all going to assess that? What support do you need? Let me pause there. Is that clear as far as what's going to be going on in this church committee? Need y'all to talk back to me. Is this
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, one piece that I would add to that, Damien, if I may, is that we've talked about the easy onboarding for churches to get involved with the school, and the easiest onboarding into having a relationship with the school really would be prayer. And so for me, what I'm working on within that goal of 100 churches with 100 schools is to reach out into the churches throughout the community through the Chicagoland United and prayer relationships that we have through Together Chicago partnership relationships, to give them the opportunity to do that easy thing of praying, sending either 1 or 2 people there or a team of people there to pray throughout the school year. And my hope is that this will start getting momentum more and more every year. And then what we'll see out of that is we'll begin to see acts of justice that would be taking place out of that place. Because when you put somebody there to pray, you're undergirding that place with prayer, and you're creating an easy onboard into having relationship with that church that just grows organically. And then hopefully to see there be an annual Love Your School Day out of that place where we have prayer going on all school year, and then we over Memorial Weekend that we have a Love Your School Day where there can be acts of justice for that school. So that's just something that I'm bringing to the table, as well as we want to see, like Damien mentioned, I'm part of the Intervention Connection team and leading that with Together Chicago, where we work with the Chicago Police Department for high-risk individuals where we do a home visit with that individual, and then we, as Together Chicago's intervention, we take over the follow-up with that individual. We see what school they're going to. We're trying to connect them to a mentor and to a job and help their family in any way that we can. So all of that's playing a part in the church mobilization as we all get together and we look at the 100 churches. To me, the easiest way to onboard into anything, I previously worked in the field of anti-human trafficking with Exodus Cry. So people wanted to end human trafficking, of course, but the easiest way to onboard them into starting into being able to participate would be having them pray or start a prayer watch. So this gives people in the church the opportunity to do that first step, in my opinion, which leads to many other things as they stand on that corner and they get a heart for their school.
Yeah, I'm glad you added that color commentary, Kimberly, because I think that that was really helpful to just kind of help us to wrap our brains around the possibilities of the Church Mobilization Committee. Now, let me say this to you, Reverend Hill and Angela. And what I'm going to say right now, even though I'm talking to folks who I think would be more aligned with Church Mobilization Committee, I think it's helpful for us to all kind of talk through because, per my understanding, big brothers, big sisters, communities and schools are, consistently in a process of trying to figure out and, working to figure out what does strategic partnership with churches look like. So what happens now, you all being even plugged to the Love Your School Collective gives you access to this committee that we can challenge to ask them those questions and hopefully be able to recruit mentors, hopefully, be able to recruit church partners to support the work that you all are doing in schools.
I have can I ask a question, Damien, about the Church Mobilization Committee?
Can you just 1 second so I don't forget?
Yeah.
So what I want to say to those of you all who attend churches, ministers of churches who are here in this group, keep coming. What you all might not necessarily hear or see yet based on what we shared is the value add for you. One, you're coming to this space to serve the group and help the group to be aware and cognizant of the ways that you're already serving. That's going to help other churches. But then secondly, the more that you're coming to this space with other kindred minds that are doing work in schools, not only is that going to help you to understand different innovation and different practices and different resources that you all can tap into. In addition to that, again, just the power of the network is just going to be able to serve you all and to serve your folks as you continue to lean into that committee. So that's my strong encouragement for everybody who's connected to a church. Know that your space very well could be that Church Mobilization Committee. I think that was Robin. I'm sorry. I cut somebody off. Please.
Don't be sorry, I cut you off and then you guys finish your thought. My question is, when we're talking about the goal of 100 churches to adopt 100 schools, would we consider it success if a school, if there was just a prayer corner, right, Kimberly? Like, would we say that school has been adopted, or would we want something a little bit more like what Jeff's talking about, like a little bit more concrete involved in the school?
So let me use this graphic to remind us of what we call our levels of engagement. So we have 3 levels of engagement that's all centered around helping students, schools overcome those challenges, right? That first level of engagement is like the participation level. The participation level includes things like Care Portal, definitely anything concerning prayer that Kimberly's a part of, and or just kind of one-off programs. Like, for instance, we have a partner through the Grace Network that's inviting churches to kind of get connected to this work by packaging care product bags for the like 100 schools that now is a part of her process. So the answer is yes, Robin. Anytime a church kind of onboards and they're a part of just kind of these participation level programs or one-off events, they're officially woven in. And our job, and Kimberly kind of spoke to this, is through our committees and other touch points, is to drive them to deeper commitment within that school.
Yeah, so I would just add to that as Together Chicago, we are looking at Christ-centered initiatives, and so we are looking at we hold great value in the place of prayer, of that being a very critical piece of everything that we do, whether it's a gospel justice center, whether it's economic development. We are looking at that piece of that always at the front of our mind. So when we look at 100 churches, you know, Christ-centered churches looking at adopting schools, we're looking at that prayer corner is a very critical piece to pray for those youth. So we always want to be putting prayer out there for the youth and the teachers in that school. But also, just in my experience, and I think Robin, you and I have talked a little bit about this, you know, with Exodus Cry and starting global prayer watches all over the world that wanted to help end human trafficking. It started from that place of prayer, and then they started to kind of get that, what are some of the practical things I can do besides prayer? You know, so they would start with prayer, and they would inevitably start either a restoration house, or they would start going to do ministry and prostitution. So there's all these different things that can happen when a person adopts a corner. When they start with that little piece, you know, the word of God says not to despise small beginnings. You know, God can do a lot with that small beginning with two people. And they already, I'm getting testimonies, and I'm getting stories of people who've left their corner and ended up having conversations with the principal. You know, so those kinds of relationships, when they see that caring group of people that are there on a consistent basis, they build that relationship. So an organic movement starts to take place around that school that will ultimately lead into more justice initiatives within that school.
Robin, did that answer your question?
Yes, I have other questions that I think from my perspective when working with all of our schools, like some of what you're talking about, Kimberly, is just not feasible, right? Like some of the schools their biggest concern is like no prayer, like, right? Like we have so many different religions here. We can't just have one. So that's where I get a little caught up, but I don't want to take over this meeting with that conversation, but that was very helpful. Thank you very much.
So let me just speak to that, because that's important for us to all be able to wrap our brain around. And I am very aware that even in this space, everybody doesn't share the same faith commitment. Yeah, so that being said, like, I just want to be very clear that there are multiple participation options. And to Kimberly's point, our prayer corners and our prayer initiatives are one, Robin, offering of other options as well. So for instance, Kimberly also mentioned Love Your School Day. 2 years ago, we did we attempted a citywide initiative called Love Your School Day. That's actually how I met Camille, who's here on this call, and we were serving meals to a school. So I just wanted to be I want to be very clear, and to Robin's point, we're not going to overspeak this part, is that we definitely understand that, you know, that will be prohibitive to some people to think of their participation opportunity being prayer. What I'm trying to be clear on, y'all, right now is that is one of multiple opportunities that people have afforded to them to onboard into the Love Your School Collective. All right, so next, y'all, we have the events committee. Now, not only am I asking moving forward for all of y'all to get somebody from your organization to link into this events committee, in addition to me asking that, I want to be very clear that of all of the committees, this is the committee that does not have any leadership right now. And we need leadership, you know, to drive this ahead outside of myself. So the events committee is another committee. So right now, y'all, there's one primary event, which is the fundraiser. I don't think I have to overspeak to y'all what that's about. That's going to get the bulk of our focus. But as I continue to think about that, y'all, the fundraiser is not the only event that we should be mobilizing around and supporting together. One that's not mentioned here that could be a possible fifth event. 2 years ago, y'all, I did an awards, or we did an award ceremony. And, you know, I would be interested to get Camille's perspective on this, but from my perspective, that was the best event that we've ever done. Jokingly, I tell people it was in a dirty gym. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't invest too much money. The primary money that we invested was, we had a caterer, you know, who was there for us. So, you know, that cost some thousands. But other than that, that event really did not cost us a lot. But the reason I say it was the best event is leaving that event, we had so many folks that were emailing me, texting me, that felt so valued because they were affirmed. So I guess I say that to say that I don't know, we definitely don't need to be adding more events, but just finding ways, y'all, through our events that we're celebrating folks is just something I want us to keep top of mind. The 4 events that we're going to be kind of focusing on is we start the year with what we call a Village of Support event. And the Village of Support event is likened to what we're doing right now. We ask schools to bring their teams to come with some sense of what their top needs are, and we give them a structure that we call our school action plan, to then kind of talk about how this school or this Village of Support is going to work together during the school year in support of the school. If I can find it quickly, I'll show you all an example of an action plan. If I can't, this one isn't a good example, but I guess at the very least, if I can, I thought Veneer was gonna come up. Nah, don't worry about it. So yeah, we give them kind of a model during that Village of Support meeting as far as, how they can work together, community can work together to support the school. The fundraiser, like I said, I'm not gonna overtalk that. Love Your School Day. Kimberly talked about it a little bit. Is a part of an initiative, a citywide initiative that Together Chicago does called Hands Across Chicago. We do a Memorial Day weekend every year. And the events committee is informed, so I don't know. But the way I'm thinking about it is either that Friday or that Saturday, partners will have an option to do a service event at the school. The reason I like the Friday is because if they want to do something like serve a meal, which we've done before, you got to do it during the time that teachers and staff are in the school. The Saturday would afford teams to come in when folks are not in the school and do like beautification projects. So we'll continue to shape that out. But all of the organizations that are a part of the Love Your School Collective, just imagine, y'all, the value add and just kind of the message even that we're sending to the city. If we have 20, 30, 50 service projects and service to schools based on the schools that we're connected to happening all across the city on the same day or during the same weekend, that's the vision that we'll lean into that.
So Damien, can I just throw in there that I would just like to submit to you and everyone that I would really love for that to be part of the seasonal rhythm of the Love Your School prayer initiatives, because that would be something that would be the natural outflow of the Love Your School prayer corners. But I would love for that to be part of the seasonal rhythm, and I would love to be part of I think you and I are having a separate conversation about that, but getting those partnerships and the schools, the projects that they need, and just working on getting that all brought together, not just as like under the events committee, but under the church mobilization committee for the Love Your School prayer corners, the Love Your School summer prayer challenge, the Love Your School day, all kind of being grouped in. This is our goal. We're going to pray all year. We're going to do summer prayer. We're going to do an act of service every Memorial weekend. Offer that as an opportunity. I just want to throw that out there to you.
No, I love it. And I don't want that to be segmented to the church mobilization committee. You didn't say this, but I'm just trying to offer some additional clarity. Robin, for everybody that you're in community with within the violence prevention conversation, I want us to be challenging all of them to be doing a service project on this collective day that we have for Love Your School Day. More to come on that. Succinctly, I'll say another one of our committees, y'all, is our mentoring committee. Right now, the manifestation of our mentoring committee is this brilliance and excellence movement that in the moment is focused on the uplift of boys and young men of color. We just did an event, which is our annual Brilliance and Excellence March. We do it on the South Side one year. This year, it was on the West Side, and we kind of vacillate back and forth between the South and West Side. I just want to show you all a recap video because this will be kind of one of those 4 events that the events committee gets behind every year.
No more violence! No more violence! We are brilliant! We are brilliant! We are Chicago! We want to welcome you to the 2nd annual, the 2024 Brilliance and Excellence March. Brilliance and Excellence, baby. No more violence! Make some noise for the great mayor of the city of Chicago. Thank you for coming to the field, son. It's going to take all of us working together to dispel this norm of violence because it is not normal. We out here, that's something. I came out to take my birthday. We out here pushing people. There's one thing to talk about it, but I'm out here with brothers just being about it. We're trying to make a change by coming out, supporting. This is a movement, not a march. Not the next times we're excited to be here. Our community will be better when we all get together. To block the shutdown, the police is participating. People are coming together. Movements like this is important because it promotes peace. The co-founder of this movement, Brother Bondell Singleton.
So y'all, even though I was supporting every aspect of that, and might I even say leading, I'm kind of salty because they ain't get no captures of your boy and none of that. But it is all good, y'all. I'm just joking. But anyway, brilliance and excellence is a big piece of what we're doing too. Like I said, that's one of the events we'll get behind. I tried to take an opportunity, y'all, to somewhat introduce y'all to the committee of mentorship, as I was also ending up the events committee. Let me pause for a moment before Robin shares out to just see if there's any comments or questions about events.
Just a quick question. Is there a goal of the number of people? Sometimes committees can get, it would be a great problem to have if we had too many people interested, but I do think there's a number probably we should shoot for.
And is the goal for number of people, is that intended for a minimum number that we want to at least achieve? Or do you feel the most value being in a maximum number where we cut it off?
I think yes, and like, what's the smallest number we can have to make it work? And what's the biggest number we would want before it got unruly?
So, Robin, fascinating question. I think where my mind is right now is first and foremost starting with an engagement of all of the people who've consistently been here in this space and having them to basically park themselves into one of these spaces. And then at that point, being able to defer to committee leads to have that conversation. Is that fair?
Yeah, and was just curious, like, yeah, thinking through like, how could somebody that we're engaging with, like maybe we have a form or something where we send it out to folks and say, here's committees, pick one, join us. Anyways.
Yeah, so I love that idea. I think, again, for me, y'all, us looking ahead to July is thinking through, like, Dad, who are some of those folks that are typically here? Like, we typically get somewhere between 15 to 20, not 9, right? So let's re-engage those folks. Let's even have and then when I say let's, it's, me and Armani probably. Re-engage those folks, get them to plug in, have our initial committee breakouts in July. And then from there, Robin, I think we could then kind of create forums and things of that nature to share this more broadly if we think that's the move.
Yeah.
I defer to you, Robin.
Okay, yeah, so I am really excited to lead the School-Based Violence Prevention Committee. This is work that has started months and months and months ago. I want to say like last summer we started talking about this, Damien. But it has taken on interesting conversations. Our goal is to help make sure that all of the folks that are engaging in that committee, all of our organizations, all the individuals are singing from the same songbook, if you will, on how we can work together to make sure that we're supporting school communities around violence prevention. There have been a lot of ideas that have been kicked around. Right now is a really interesting time for the committee because we've taken a bit of a pause just to get some, I will be having one-on-one short 15, 20-minute conversations with folks just to make sure that when we are convening people that we're doing it in a way that's mindful of their time, their goals, what do they hope to get out of it as an organization. Some of the ideas that have come out of that group are like a pilot program where multiple organizations are getting together and essentially like bundling program across the school year, which is not unsimilar to what Together Chicago and Communities in Schools does already. And I'm thinking about some other ideas, like is there a single point of access for families to get information and resources they need when we can't always rely on other resources? Like I'd love to rely on the city resources, but they shift a lot, right? Depending on who's in office. So thinking through those things. All that to say, it is a great time to get involved. If you know anybody who's working in that space or is curious about how to get more involved, I'll say from my perspective, we work with at Communities in Schools around 300 community partners and organizations. And talking to many of them, they sit squarely in the prevention space, or they're way over on that far side on the spectrum of intervention and prevention. And they might not see themselves that way, but they're seeking out high violence communities. They're seeking out schools that need that support. So I want everybody to understand how we are all part of this. It reminds me of the way we really got behind SEL, right? Like nobody on this call is anti-SEL. We all think it's important to embed into our programs and into our work. How can we take those same concepts and embed things that help us in the violence reduction and prevention space? So it's an exciting time. I'll be sending out some information. I'll ask Damien to blast it out to the Love Your School folks to get some of those times to chat with me. But we have been convening. We've met 3 times as a group over lunch very typically. I anticipate continuing that as we get into the fall.
Thank you, Robin. So for organizations like Big Brothers Big Sisters, Jennifer, I don't know if it's a fair ask, but I kind of see y'all in events, violence prevention, and possibly even mentoring. So Jennifer, as brand ambassador, you know, you start to kind of get clarity on these things. What I want to challenge you, as well as Robin, and I've challenged everybody here in some ways, is to just really start thinking of like, okay, like how now can I be strategically inviting in other partners from my organization to sit into some of these other committee spaces. Let me pause for a moment because I did not invite or offer opportunity for folks to ask Robin questions if you have questions for Robin.
How many?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask how many people are currently on the Violence Reduction Committee at this time, Robin?
I'd say our list is about 20 folks, with many of them having attended all 3 of our sessions. I'd say probably have 10 or 12 that have been consistent. Is that overestimating, Damien? I don't think so. I think that's about right.
And the interesting dynamic, and a lot of you all are probably picking this up, and maybe for some of you all, this is creating some cognitive dissonance, is that there's going to be a lot of overlap, y'all, and that's okay. So for instance, Kimberly, who's sitting in church mobilization, was like, okay, I need to be over there with events, having some conversation too, and even exerting some leadership too. Like a lot of y'all probably, you know, are interested with the violence prevention piece. And that's fine. The beauty of that, y'all, is that as these committees continue to grow and develop, anybody who's a part of this collective will be able to pull from the resources and the intelligence of what is growing in these individual spaces. So with that being said, y'all, I hope that you all see the value and the increased focus and commitment that we have to sincerely be about impact through 2 avenues: these Love Your School committees and school impact programs. And at any particular point in time ahead of the next school year, if anybody feels like I'm in a place where I'm still unclear, why am I going to this monthly call? What is Love Your School all about? Y'all, please hit that little calendar link I have. Get on a call with me. Treat me to a meal. You hear me? Let me say that again. You treat me to a meal so we can sit down and break bread. Let's do what we need to do to get this clarity, y'all, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen an example of what we got here with the type of organizations we have here, with the potential for collective impact that we have here. And when I say that, I'm including the brilliance and excellence work that we're doing. So yeah, we got a unique opportunity in our hands, which is going to require not only for us to stay present, but also for us to just make sure, y'all, that we know why we're here. We know the value add. We don't need anybody to convince us of that, right? So that then we can be, as Robin said, I love that word, ambassadors of this work broadly and widely. I think those are synonyms, but it's all good. Y'all get where I'm going. Y'all, it's 9:58. That's all I have.